my name's Kevin. In today's lesson, we're going to check out 3 riffs by the Rolling Stones. So these are all classic tunes. You've probably heard them before, and now you're going to learn how to play the riffs on your uke. So get yourself tuned up, and let's learn some riffs. Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and click that alert bell so you know when the next video is coming your way. If you're interested in more learning resources, head over to allforuke.com where we have a full searchable library of songs, song sheets, practice tracks, worksheets, and more. All for you, allforuke.com. The first riff is one of my favorite riffs. I love playing this one on the guitar, and it's even cooler on the uke. This is from the Some Girls record from the Rolling Stones, and this tune is called Misuse. So I'm going to play the riff for you. We'll go through it slow, and then we'll go through it at real speed. It's going to be a lot of fun. So here we go. So let's get started with this. We're going to start off with our index finger here, and I want to stress to you the importance of using the correct fingers when you're playing these riffs. And they're correct because they're putting your hand in the right position to get to the next note, and that's one of the important concepts of learning a riff. So we're going to start here, index finger, 3rd fret of the E string, and the first thing we're going to do here is a hammer on from 3 to 5. So this first part of the riff is, so to hammer on, we actually pluck the note 1 time and hammer on with our ring finger to the 5th fret. So we have, the next move that we have is a pull off. So what we're going to do is move down to the A string and pull off from the 5th fret to the 3rd fret. So it's basically the opposite of a hammer on. So we have hammer on, and then what I like to do is take my ring finger and lay it down because I'm going from the string right above it and actually on the same fret. So it's easier for me just to take my ring finger and lay it down and move down to this pull off. So we have, and then we move back to our E string and we do another pull off from 5 to 3. So far we have hammer on, then we move down a string, pull off, and then we move back to the E string and we do the same thing, pull off from 5 to 3. And then all we do is set our ring finger back down on the 5th fret and play that one single time. So far we have, so that little phrase there is going to be repeated 2 times. So when we play through this, both times you're going to use and then the last little segment of this riff is 3, 5 on the E string, and then 3 on the A string, and then we end with 2 plucks on the E string of the 5th fret. Now we're going to take this really, really slow, and I encourage you when you're learning any new riff to play through it really slow. Focus on all of the little nuances of the riff because as you speed up, those are going to come through. But if you try to go too fast too soon, that's when the mechanics can kind of fall apart. So I'm just going to go through this at a very, very slow pace here. So check it out. Then down to the pull off. Then back to the pull off on the E. Then to the 5th. And then we repeat that. And then we end the riff. 5, 3, 5, 5. So that's the riff nice and slow. Now we're going to do a slow play along of that with a metronome. And the metronome is the other component to this that I think is really valuable because when you're learning how to play a riff, you want to play it in time. You don't want to just kind of pick a time signature to play it in. You just want to really make sure that you're kind of following along with a groove. All right, so we're going to do this at 80 beats per minute. I'm going to let the metronome go for a little bit so we can feel the pace, and then we're going to come in with the riff when I do the 4 count. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, so now we're going to bump it up to the actual song tempo of 110. So make sure you've played through it slow, and if you feel yourself kind of falling apart during this faster play along, that's your cue to go back and play it slow a few more times. And I also encourage you to gradually build to 110 from 80. You probably shouldn't jump from 80 to 110, but for the video's sake, we're doing that so you can kind of see what this is like in real time. So here we go at 110. I'm going to do my best to keep up with this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. All right. Riff number 2, you've heard it before. This is from the album Sticky Fingers, and the tune is Brown Sugar. Let's check it out. This one gets a little bit more technical, so we're going to kind of go through this piece by piece. So the riff starts off here, and I'm going to use my thumb and middle finger, or thumb and index finger, for most of what's happening here with my strumming hand, because I'm going to be doing a lot of double string plucks here. So when I actually pluck the strings, I'm doing that in unison. So I have to kind of take my middle and thumb and pinch the strings as I do that. So that's going to be happening throughout this riff. The other way that you could do it is use your index and middle finger. If you would rather just pull on those strings together, that's the other option you have here for the technique with your strumming hand. So the riff starts off here with our middle finger and ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E and A strings. So first pluck is just going to be that E and A string together. And then we take our index finger, place it down on the 2nd fret of the A string, and that's the second part. So we'll start off the riff with. Now, what you heard there was a shorter duration of note. So that's kind of more of a staccato to the note. So what I'm doing is I'm actually taking and playing the note, and right after that note rings, I release the pressure from my fingers, but I'm still touching the strings, so it deadens them and kind of stops that note. So we go. All right, then we're going to move up here to the C and the E strings. So you're going to have to follow that with your picking hand, and you're going to have to follow that here with your fretting hand. So I'm moving up here with my middle finger on the C string, on the 4th fret, my index finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So what I do is I pluck this 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I'm going to slide my middle finger over to the 5th fret as I drop down my ring finger on the 5th fret as well on the E string. So it's, and then I finish off the riff with back to the 4 and 3. So that really slow is. So now when we put those two parts together, so remember, listen for that staccato and listen for that little slide. So we have move up. So that's pretty cool. And now the second part of this riff, we start exactly the same way. We start with this again. And then the only difference is when we move up here to the C and E strings, we're going to do this 2 times on the 3 and 4. And then we move over to the 5th with middle and ring. We do that twice, and then we move back to 4-3 and do that twice. So nice and slow, that would be. All right, so now I'm going to put those two together. I'm just going to play through this at a tortoise pace. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Move up. Then we go back. All right, now we're gonna do this one with the metronome at 90 beats per minute. So I'll give us a 4 count in again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second part. Again. So we're going to bump it up now to 129 beats per minute, which is the actual tempo of the riff on the album. So again, I encourage you to gradually build up to this tempo from 90. Don't make the 40 BPM jump that we're about to make here. Take your metronome, increase it by a little bit every day as you do this riff. So here we go. I'll give us a 4 count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're digging the sound of my uke, head over to allforuke.com/shop. You can have a Kali ukulele for yourself. When you buy your Kali ukulele through All For Uke, you're supporting us, and we really appreciate it. Make sure you check it out. Concerts, sopranos, tenors, baritones, a wide selection of accessories, capos, and more. All for you, allforuke.com/shop. All right, this has been a lot of fun. So for our third and final riff, we're going to take it back to the Some Girls album, and we're going to do Beast of Burden. Let me play that for you, and then we'll break it down. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now let's break down that little riff there. Now this is more of kind of what I would call a chord riff. So we're kind of doing some chords and single notes intertwined here in this riff. So a little different than the other ones, but equally as cool. So the chords that you need for this riff are E major, which is played here, middle ring, pinky on the 4th fret, index on the 2nd fret. So that's one chord you need. The B major chord, a bar chord. Ring finger, 4th fret of the G string, middle finger on the C string, 3rd fret, index on the E and A string of the 2nd fret. 3rd chord is C sharp minor. We're going to bar the bottom 3 strings of the 4th fret, place our ring finger on the G string of the 6th fret. So let's break this riff down nice and slow. So the way that I like to do this is I kind of set up my E chord, and I have it already in place, but I'm not playing it on the 4th fret. I'm starting here with it kind of down here actually as an E flat. So I have my E chord moved down, playing the 3rd fret, and what I do is, with my thumb, I pluck the C string and slide the entire chord. But when I do that, I'm only sliding that one note. So watch me do this here. So that's going to give that kind of roll into the E chord. So that's the first part of the riff. Now that I'm sitting on the E chord, I'm going to strum this 3 times. And all I use is my index finger to do that, and I just do down, up, down. So I should also mention, as you slide there, just make sure that you're keeping really good pressure on your ring finger as you move from the 3rd to the 4th fret for that slide. I do have a video that's all about slides. You can check that out on the channel as well. So we slide in here, and then we do down, up, down. So after we do our E chord here, we're going to transition to the B chord. So to do that, I take my index finger, place it over the bottom 2 strings, put my ring finger here on the 4th fret, middle finger on the 3rd fret, and I'm going to do an up strum, and this is going to be a staccato up strum. So another shortened duration chord though this time. So the way we do that is as our finger comes through here, as soon as we clear the strings going up, instead of letting this chord ring out like this, we release the pressure from the chord, but keep our fingers touching the strings so it stops the vibration of them. So when we come up and then release, we have that shortened staccato strum. So we have our E chord, walk in, down, up, down, to the B, up. So from here, now we move our ring finger over to the 6th fret of the G string and bar the bottom 3 strings here on the 4th fret. And we're going to do another up strum staccato. Actually, legato, not staccato. So we're going to move on to the C sharp minor chord legato. And then, as I listened to the recording a few times, you could just leave it at that and just leave it with that legato, or you can kind of do another little down strum to kind of pick up into this last part of the riff. And then we finish off the riff here by taking our index finger down to the open C string, and we're going to do a hammer-on with our index finger. So we pluck the C string while it's open, and we hammer on the 1st fret with our index finger. So we get 2 notes out of that 1 string pluck. And then our final move here is just going to pluck the bottom string, the A string, open. Something else I just noticed as I'm doing this that might be helpful to you, kind of going back and forth between chords and single notes. What I like to do is kind of grab the bottom of the uke as I do that, so that I can kind of get my thumb in position here over the strings, because I'm doing some strums, but then I'm going to go to a single note, so I kind of try to grab here to the bass so that I can lock my hand in place and make sure that it's positioned for doing the riff. So let's just walk through this really, really slow here so you can hear this all played together. So here's the slow version, starting with the E chord down here over E flat. So we move into it. Down, up, down, up, up, tick. All right, now we're going to do this at 75 BPM, so we can get a nice slow run at this. And here we go with a 4 count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, here, so for the final play along, we're going to do this at the album tempo of 100 beats per minute. So here we go with a 4 count in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, thank you so much for learning these 3 iconic riffs with me. Playing riffs on the uke is a lot of fun. You can do all sorts of different styles, classic rock, everything in between. Pretty cool stuff. Again, I stress to you, go through these slowly. Make sure you learn all the nuances of a riff. Really play it slow, play it with a metronome, and gradually build up that tempo so you can work to the song recording. I'm going to leave some links in the description to the actual song recording so you can hear these being played by the Rolling Stones so you've got a better feel for what they're supposed to sound like. And I also have some tabs put together at allforuke.com where you can check these out, go through them at your leisure. I might also put together some practice tracks as well. So my name is Kevin. I thank you so much for watching. Let me know what some of your favorite Rolling Stones songs are, or if there's any other iconic riffs that you like. We're thinking about putting a playlist together of some different bands and their riffs, so let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Let's get